So last week, ABC aired the most dramatic finale in Bachelor history. And frankly, after seeing it, this might not be an exaggeration. I haven't seen every season of The Bachelor, but what occurred in the finale last week really was insanely dramatic. And I have a lot of really complex thoughts about what occurred and especially about the way it was presented. And I really feel the need to discuss and share these thoughts with you. And now hold on. If you're here thinking like, wait, I come to this channel for all that cool anime analysis and stuff, I don't know anything about The Bachelor. That's fine. This video is for you. I'm going to go through and explain everything you need to know about what happened in order to understand the events of the finale and why they have been so controversial. So, stick around. You might enjoy this. I think it's really interesting. And if you're already a big Bachelor fan and you don't need me to go through and explain everything that happened leading up to this and you just want to get into the meat of it, just go to the time that's on the screen right now. That way you can skip all the explanation. Alright, we're all good? Okay, let's get into it. For those of you who have never seen The Bachelor, don't know what it's about, The Bachelor is a reality TV show about 20-something women. This season it was starting with 29 women fighting for the love of one guy. And so each week the guy will take these girls out on dates and get to know them, talk to them, and each week he sends a few of them home, slowly whittling down the numbers until there is only one left. Now, there is no obligation on this show to propose to one of these women. However, most seasons do end in a proposal, and there's a lot of pressure to propose, it seems. But there's no obligation, but you can acknowledge that there's a ton of pressure in order to do so. Anyways, this season, The Bachelor was this dude named Ari. And his final two women were a girl named Becca K and Lauren B. So, throughout the whole season, whenever we see Becca K, especially Becca K with Ari, she's always been very confident, very funny, outgoing, energetic. She carries herself really, really well. She portrays herself as this very strong and confident woman. Lauren, on the other hand, was always very, very shy, very quiet, and very reserved. When Lauren and Ari would go on dates, there would typically be a lot of silence. ABC would edit the show with awkward background music to show how awkward they are together, a lot of silence. She would pretty much say little more than, wow. When looking around, it was pretty awkward, pretty quiet. And Ari also stated that he constantly felt that he needed to reassure her in their relationship, that she seemed insecure and needed reassurance. Despite this, there was an undeniable, extreme attraction between Ari and Lauren. Ari was super into this girl. Super, super into her. He was pretty into Becca too, but just the way he looked and talked about Lauren, you could tell that he was head over heels. He told her that he loved her super early by Bachelor standards. I'm pretty sure he needed to ask the producers whether it was okay to tell her that he loved her that soon. He was super into her. But coming into the finale, in his final decision between the two ladies, he picked Becca. Now, we can speculate as to why he would pick Becca over Lauren in this moment. Maybe he was more confident in his relationship, more confident that she would say yes. When Becca and Lauren met Ari's family was siding towards Becca more. He might have taken that along into consideration. But for whatever reason, he picks Becca. And then we have this post-finale show. Usually it's called After the Final Rose, airing right after the Becca was picked, right after the finale. So, what The Bachelor typically does is, after the final person gets picked and now we have this happy engaged couple, they will invite the couple out for several dates, like in different places, put them up in a nice safe house, and film them going on dates to have like their happy couple dates. What we see is Becca arriving for one of these happy couple dates, and then Ari coming in with the whole camera crew and everything, ready to break up with her. Because Ari realized, after being with Becca, that he made the wrong choice, and he wanted to go with Lauren. And so Ari decides, instead of doing this in private, instead of breaking up with Becca and going back to Lauren in private, he will tell ABC that he's going to do it and have them ready there with the cameras to record all of it. And ABC decides to show us this breakup completely unedited, with 2 cameras filming at the same time and being shown at the same time, one on Ari and one on Becca, completely unedited, uncut. And so we just get a straight 30 minutes of extremely awkward, tormenting breakup. Ari being super insensitive. He comes off so bad in this breakup. Completely insensitive, saying things like, oh, I just think it's unfair to you because I still have feelings for Lauren, and I wasn't 100% in this relationship. And then Becca asking, well, will you be 100% with Lauren? And without any hesitation being like, yeah. Or saying things like, I felt like the longer I stayed with you, the less chance I had to reconcile with Lauren. These really, really bad things. And Becca just crying and trying to get away from him, repeatedly asking him to leave several times, and him just not leaving, just sticking around. Most likely because the producers wanted to get some more extreme, intense reaction out of her. But she was composing herself super, super strong the whole time. She was standing up for herself. She was composing herself. She didn't flip out on him. She carried herself and handled herself great. But they probably wanted more, so Ari had to stick around. No matter how many times she asked him to leave, he just stayed there and would follow her through the house. She would be walking away through this big house trying to get away from him, and he just followed her. Super weird. Super creepy. And then we get more information out, Ari had already been talking to Lauren on the phone about this. It really sounded like he had confirmation from Lauren already that she would go back with him if he dumped Lauren. Pretty much cheating with Becca over the phone through this whole period. And then eventually we see Ari go back to Lauren and is greeted with open arms. Immediately, no shock. She knew he was coming. She knew what happened. Accepting Ari and then taking him back. And then they got engaged on the next segment of After the Final Rose the next day. Proposed and engaged and la la la. Anyways, this finale, specifically the breakup with Becca, was super, super hard to watch. Because it was very real. And that's a weird thing when it comes to TV. Even reality TV, because reality TV is heavily edited, so you have a much different flow than in real life. And films and TV and all these stuff, the way they are scripted and shot, gives them a much different flow than real life. Silence and awkwardness typically isn't something that wants to be portrayed in film or in TV and that kind of stuff, unless you're purposefully going for some kind of awkward hipster comedy or something. But silence and awkwardness, it's uncomfortable. People don't like watching it. And so even when you have a really emotional bad breakup scene or something in scripted television or scripted film, you don't get that kind of feeling. It's a lot faster paced. It's a lot more dramatic. It's a lot more flamboyant. But here, instead, what we see is this very real breakup. Becca crying and them just sitting in silence together for a long time. Ari trying to make an advance, Becca being like no, shooing him off, and just silence. The two characters walking away, and then we just have a shot of like an empty door with maybe a couple of light sobs behind it, and Ari just sitting there in silence on the couch in another part of the house. And actually, just go find it. Go find this if you want to see it, so you know what I'm talking about. But so many people had such a negative reaction while watching this. People calling it disgusting, right? To display Becca's embarrassment and pain on national television like that, right? Just to air it out for the world. They call it disgusting. It's hard to watch. And I would agree with them. Watching it as it was airing, it felt sick. People were saying that they're done with this show. They can't watch it anymore because how could they do something so terrible? And I admit I had the same thought as well as I'm watching this. But then there's this other thought that I have. That it comes down to the nature of how film is made and all that. And I have to ask myself, if I was watching a film or another TV show, a scripted, more traditional film where these people were actors, and I saw this 30-minute super awkward, painful breakup, and I watch it and I just feel like the tightness in my chest and that like severe pain for this character that I felt while watching this, would I not consider that a major artistic success? Would I, first of all, not consider it super brave that a director will go about writing and shooting a breakup scene that contains all of the awkwardness and embarrassment and long silences of a normal one? Wouldn't that be super brave to break film convention that way? Wouldn't it be a huge success if it draws out the insane emotion in the viewer that this show did? Wouldn't that be a huge success? So then what's the difference when looking at it from a reality TV perspective where these people aren't actors? Where these people have real emotions? It feels scummy because we're profiting essentially off of what these people are feeling. But at the same time, I feel like it still deserves that credit that ABC would air these 30 minutes unedited, but like knowing that it was real enough that people wouldn't lose interest while watching it. People wouldn't get bored by all of the silence and everything. Right? Like, that takes a little bit of guts. And then it takes a little bit of guts to display their Bachelor, the one who's currently representing their franchise, in such a terrible, manipulative, and sociopathic way, right? Because Ari comes off terrible with this. He comes off manipulative. He like tries to blame Becca for what he's doing. And he goes back to Lauren, and from the way it's presented, it doesn't sound like Lauren knows how he treated Becca or how he presented himself with all of this. When they appeared on the live show the day after this aired and everything, and they were asked how it felt watching that back, they said, oh no, we didn't watch it, like, we want to move on from that. So there's a good chance Lauren hasn't seen that, right? And the way, like, he would control the conversation and imply other things about other people and everything, he seems so manipulative and, like, evil. But they are comfortable presenting their main hero in that way. Of course, probably because then Becca became the new Bachelorette, and so now we can all root for her and talk about the evil Ari. But still, for like a show to craft a villain of that magnitude, right? Somebody who's so subtly manipulative, somebody that like in a way would deserve an analysis, right? Because it was pretty obvious when watching it, but before that we don't notice it, but going back we can see like subtle hints of that. for that to like come across in a scripted show and everything would have been magnificent. But because it's here, it's dirty. And I don't necessarily completely agree with that. I understand where it comes from, and I understand why it's so painful, because an actor's pain is fake, but this pain is real and everything. But I still think it deserves credit for the immense emotion and response it's able to draw out of us. Because at the end of the day, isn't that the ultimate goal of art? To draw this kind of emotion and feeling out of us? And I know I just called The Bachelor art, and people are going to hate on me for that probably, but you know what? Look at it. If, let's say, this wasn't a reality TV show, and we just saw this scripted sequence of all this, why wouldn't it be? And that's pretty much what I gotta say. I'm not 100% on board that this was a completely right decision, because I still feel so bad for Becca. But then at the same time, maybe that's a good thing on their part. They did, I don't know. Hate me in the comments. Say what you want. Did you see this finale and think it was torturous and terrible, and how could they possibly do that? And you're never watching The Bachelor again until next season? Or can you see where I'm coming from, right, with this? Maybe you haven't seen The Bachelor, but my explanation was like, oh, maybe you should check it out. Who knows? Let me know in the comments. Like, subscribe, share this video if you know some Bachelor fans or some people who might be interested in this discussion. But I just want to thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you around.